Alright, we're gonna do another chess move. Bishop, here we go. You know, it's best that for y'all to understand what I advocate, what I stand for, or really what's all these videos and this information about, and what's my point. Well, I guess you ain't gonna know much about the book until you know something about the author. So on that note, let me say this. You know, when I first arrived here, it was kind of like, you know, I came here green to life. Bronx kid, been there all my life, 38 years. You know, we didn't do a lot of things regular people did though. We was kind of different. Because where I'm from in the Bronx, we just grew up with the Puerto Ricans and the blacks. You understand? If we fucked with some white people, they was either selling us drugs or trying to extort us. So they never got respect from us, but we never really dealt with them on a level of race shit. You understand? We always getting money. Everybody was getting money. If we was gonna fuck with them, niggas was buying shit from them. That's how New York is. New York is a big melting pot. All right, so I don't know nothing about no conscious community stuff, all this Bible religion stuff. No, I never was into none of this stuff. I was about just producing, just getting money, doing me. I remember my uncle told me some crazy shit. Be careful out here with the science, the OBA, all this shit. Well, you know what? I laughed at him. I said, man, I'm just here to see family, get to see, you know, past ones, go to the graves, pray, all that ancestor shit, you know? So anyways, to make a long story short now, you know, it's like one day I was walking and all of a sudden something told me to look up. And when I looked up into the sky, right, it was kind of drizzling too that day. So I'm just walking to go to the store. And when I looked up, all of a sudden, it was like the clouds just separated. And I see the sun as like a disc, a bright, luminous, white light disc with a bezel spinning around. It's just spinning. The more I try to look at the bezel, the faster it starts spinning and spinning faster. Now I said, nah, wait, what the fuck is that? So I'm walking just like I'm walking now, and I said, nah, that wasn't real. Let me see again. So I looked again, and it was like the clouds opened up. It was like I separated from my body. Then all of a sudden the sun looked like it's coming closer, or I could see the sun itself, a circle with the bezel and this pulsating, poof, 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 poof. And all of a sudden now, it's like a color spectrum. I start going through all the different colors, and purple was the last color or whatever that sat in my eyes. So now I got a purple glare in my eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know, so it would be like I look down at the ground like how it is, and then when I look straight, the purple glow was gone, but then when I look, it was on the rock or whatever. So anyway, now this purple glow, it wound up staying with me. And with this purple glow, it started turning into like an orb, a blue flame color orb over the next couple days, because I'm there like, what the fuck happened? This was the weirdest experience I ever been through. But it didn't just come with just that as an experience. With it, that same day, that night, I'm laying in my bed that same night, pondering upon my thoughts of what just took place that day, with the sun and all that. So all of a sudden I see a star. And this star is just in my vision for the past hour every time I turn my head through my window. So you know what? Me and it started having a stare down. I don't know what made me do it, but that's what it got into. But the thing now, as I'm looking at it, my walls is flashing away. It's like it's flickering, flashing, flickering, flashing. All of a sudden, it's like something is talking to me inside of me. It's like telling me, keep coming, meet me halfway, come on. And I'm like, huh, what? And it's like it's telling me to come. So I don't know, it's instincts. That's why I said we have instincts in us that we don't know we have. I just something, and I'm thrusting through this dark space, just going towards it or whatever, and I could see it clearer and clearer. The star is getting more vivid and vivid as I get closer. But eventually when I look around, and notice where I'm at. My walls is gone. I'm like in total dark space. And I'm like, nah, this is madness. I jumped up. No, as a matter of fact, that lasted for like 30 minutes. In that 30 minutes, it felt like me and the star was in some type of euphoric state. Like if I was it was something like making love, but you just stood at the climax part. It was incredible. While we was like latched onto each other, I'm trying to get to it. It was like my heart is racing real fast. My respiratory is up. I'm breathing through my mouth, but I'm frozen, stuck like a magnet and can't move. And so now, right then at that time, it started getting like weird. I was just froze there. Only thing I could do is slowly breathe through my mouth and enjoy the feeling. But when it let me go, I slowly came back to my room. And I'm like, nah, this is crazy. I jumped up out my bed and, tried to figure out what the fuck just happened. So anyways, after that now, I wind up trying to see what's that about and experiment with it. And sure enough, at will, I start noticing what I was calling the silver of Osiris. Upon concentrating, like how I was on the star, like my wall, whatever it is, I'm looking at start flickering. It start flickering, and I see a magnetic field around it. It will be like around me, like a little silver outline, like a cell. You just see it start flickering towards you. And as it flicker, you get to actually now hold the flicker, and it covers your whole body with a silver glow. And that silver glow now lifts up off of you, and it becomes like a portal for you to go through. You understand? So even with me, when I astral travel, I could literally use the camera, make the flicker come up, and it's like a little white line, and I'll go through. And when I go through, I'm going through this space-time and go through my little body, and it's like I float back into that space. That's how we're here. We're actually in a cell. You're not here. It's a cell, a little thin line around you, a magnetic field that make you seem like you're here. As you turn in the angles of light, it's quadrillions upon zillions of holographic fiber optic lights that make this experience real to your mind, but you're actually you're behind all of this, not in this world. When I say behind, not going in space. You just really go through this and come out on another side. That's where you're at, like a mirror. So, but you could see it if you could pull up the little magnetic line, and you could travel through it and go back to the other side. This is secret science I'm not even supposed to be telling y'all about. But this is what it afforded me once I understood what was going on. So now, for me, it looked like a fucking haunting. I thought I was losing my mind. I'm going crazy. Because at will, I was flashing into space, kept messing with the star every night and all this other shit. I guess it's upgrading me, giving me information. So eventually, after a while now, I start feeling kind of weird, like shaky. Now, at the same time, I had what's called hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, and this thing called Hashimoto disease. That's when you have all of them together and it's all conjubilated. Well, on that note, I had to go get a surgery on my throat to remove my thyroid glands. Now, here go the funny thing is, I didn't take the surgery, so they told me, yo, you need the radioactive iodine. By now, I'm like 185 pounds normally. I had went down to like 140, very weak, could barely support my own body. I needed whatever treatment it was. But I was green, I didn't know what was going on. So sure enough, they gave me the radioactive iodine treatment, and they supposed to have killed the glands from growing, which would have made me hypothyroid, and I'm supposed to get big and fat. And when they did that, it did. It killed it. But it only killed it for like a month before it regenerated back, and I was in the middle of problems now. That's how it turned to a Hashimoto disease. It's up and down, going crazy. So now they got me on medication, taking Synthroid, all this other crazy shit. So when I came here, this is part of my rejuvenate and renewing myself process, you know, reconnecting. So it got to the point where I said, to hell with the medication, from hearing other people's stories. I was listening to the natives, and they was telling me how they stopped using pharmaceutical medications because it was really the foods they was eating, the seasoning that they put on their foods, and the meat was literally the trigger to make their cancer come back. People who have herpes or whatever the case may be, and a whole bunch of other sicknesses, was able to counter it by stop eating anything with chemicals in it. So they always saying that they actually cook for their kids seasoned foods and meats and all that, but for themselves they try to keep it garden fresh or natural, you know, simple. And so I started adapting that system, and upon doing that I started losing a lot of weight, and I also started healing myself. I didn't know that at first, because now I'm kind of worried about all these things that's going on. What was going on? After the thing where I started realizing with the I could flash the walls and enter another dimension, even in, like, if I'm laying down and just relaxing, laying in my bed, looking up at the ceiling, I could see a shadow overlay of, like, people walking around. And, like, if I was literally tuning in channels, or you could see some cable show, but in a really kind of shadowy image. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck is that? So I started noticing it. Maybe the first time it just was like, okay, I'm tripping. But then around the next time I saw it, which was like a day or two later, I was like, okay, now I'm watching it. I got it. I lock onto it. And I'm like, you know, I could see you, because it looked like a man walking up. And I'm like, I see you. And he just stopped and looked back. And I'm like, oh shit, he heard me. So I got up and jumped up. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? So boom, I started realizing something. This gets deeper. After you have sex or you come, and, like, I noticed when my eyes is closed, I could still see everything in my room like my eyes was open. It was like an accident. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'm waving my hand in front of my face. I see my hand clear. I see everything in the room, but my eyes was closed, and I didn't know my eyes was closed till I tried to open my eyes and realized, oh shit, my eyes been closed all this time. So I said, nah. So you know me, I'm a scientist. I'm an experimenter. I push things. I gotta try it again. And showing up, when it came time to climax, all of a sudden, it's mad entities around me, all the Egyptian gods, grays, reptilians, orbs, dismembered half bodies. So what did I do? I started now holding, when I close my eyes, I started looking at the signature of my fingers, waving my hand across my face with my eyes closed, and I could really see signature of movement. I started using that as data to see if it's something in front of me or not. Comparing where I can't detect nothing with my hand, with my eyes closed, and the signal from my hand ain't coming all the way through, to where I move it close enough where I could detect it and I could sense something between a dark, and maybe an infrared dark or anything like that. So once I was able to do that, within a few hours, I was able to twiddle my fingers and see the shadow of it, twiddle one finger and follow it. I was able to literally see everything in the dark. Now, I started enhancing it. Being that it was kind of during sex, you know, that's the Kundlini energy stuff, and my energy was up, so I realized I could do that. So I stimulate myself and try it. And during stimulation and putting my hand up, it was like my mind was tricked. And I read up on it through this book with Aleister Crowley to give y'all a definition, because it was called kinesthesia, where it's a state of you trick your mind. That's how they put people in hypnosis, and they could be behind a wall and they don't know it's a wall there until what's in front of them or on the other side. That's what kinesthesia is. Well, Aleister Crowley in his book, he teaches you how, when you want to learn how to astral project, you have to separate from your body and induce a state of kinesthesia, which means is you go in a closet in the pitch dark, no light is in there. Your body will automatically produce light. It was like a defense mechanism. You create an infrared spectrum light. So now, once you could trick it, you're able to see in the dark. But you have to be in darkness and push yourself to want to see. Wave your hand in front of your eyes in the pitch dark. Don't let one bit of light in there. It has to be a perfect black box. Well, and you know where I'm at, it's pitch dark at night. It's so dark that we literally could see the starlight in a violet kind of color because it's only that light coming through. It's so that dark. So now to give you an example now, once I started realizing that I could do the Kina stage and see my hand with my eyes closed, and by inducing the Kundalini, I was able to see like my flesh. And as I induced it more and pushed myself, I was able to see under my flesh like the epidural, the next layer, all the way to my bone. I saw through my hand. I saw like it was an x-ray. And I said, oh my God. So these things I'm giving you as my experience so that when I start telling you about ascension and all this other shit, you get an idea of why I'm speaking on this stuff, because we don't know this. Now, me, at that time, what I was going through a state of denial. I was taught by the church like everybody else, this is evil, voodoo, all types of craziness, and the devil. So I'm researching now to find out what is this. All is on YouTube is exorcism videos and shit to do with evil and devil. Got me fucked up and scared more. All right, so what wound up happening? In the mix of all this, I start realizing that everything has something to do with like an orb. I started noticing them at the 9/11 pictures and videos. I see these orbs. I also have them in my eyes. And they animate everything. Like if we think this is there, they could change it and make it what they want. They could change anything. They do that Mandela effect shit. That's when we travel these worlds. These, I guess you could say, they're your neurons that boost up and open up like the lily flower. That's what it means. So anyways, these orbs is responsible for so much shit that is going on. And once I started catching on to them and latching on to them, I traced them through the sun. That's when I started making videos like the Lamb of God and all his angels, showing y'all the entities now. These is all helpers, all God's helpers, the cherubs, the seraphims, the different levels, the demons, the angels, but we never understood it. But these is real things, because as I'm researching it, I'm going through these things. Now I'm being haunted by these spirits now, by this time. All of this, I'm seeing it like if it's another world right in front of me, and it's attacking me. My anxiety is up. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm sleeping on the floor. I'm watching the shit about like The Exorcist, that's Annalise, whatever, Natalie, the girl from Germany, and she's saying she slept on the floor too. So I'm like making connections, and I go to do these videos. When I went to make, it was the video, what's the name of it? Because it's very significant in my life. Recognitions. That's the one where it got a cloud of Baphomet. And I remember that day, I stood out there recording for maybe 30 minutes. And when I finished, I was so shaky and charged up from the energy. It was like the clouds was disloading me. When I moved, it was like a tug. I had to pull myself around to move around in that field. That's how close they was. And I seen an image of Baphomet. And that's the video Recognitions. So now when I seen that, I went to lay down. All of a sudden, he popped up right in my vision in my room. I'm like, what the fuck? And I said, nah, I see you. Let me tell you. Within 20 minutes, I started going into like a convulsion. I started getting sick to where now I'm jumping up out the bed and my heart is racing, but I'm floating in my body. I'm floating in my body, and it feels like my life is being constrained and taken from me. So now I try to run to the bathroom to put water on my face. When I go to put water on my face, I couldn't make it. My legs gave and I'm buckled to my knees right at the sink. So now by the time I'm able to try to pull myself, I'm getting weak. I could talk, so I go and I get my cell phone. I call my shorty and I'm telling her what's going on, and she's trying to stay with me. I'm literally dying. I'm telling her goodbye. It's over. Now my legs, I crawl back to my bedroom, and I'm on the floor, and my legs is giving out, and somehow I guess I lost signal with her. So now I'm like, oh shit, this is it. I'm gone. I feel myself pulling on me. Something is yanking me out of me. It's a wrap. And I'm getting cold sweats. Yo, let me tell you, I just turned and I'm throwing up and I'm laying right there in my throat and can't do nothing. I grabbed the phone one time and the signal came and I called 911. And by the time I'm telling the operator, say, oh, I'm lying, whatever, where you at? I couldn't talk. I lost it. Now I'm delusional. It's like, sir, we're going to hang up on you. What's going on? Are you playing game? And she's like, click, and hung up. I'm dead now. I'm trying to yell for my neighbors. I can't. When I turn my head and I look, because now it's consuming me up to my throat, I feel it. It's like a paralyzation. I just went and I took all my strength and I seen my Bible under the bed. I grabbed it and I opened it up. I don't know what made me do that, and I put it to Psalms or whatever and I placed it on my chest. I put my hands across my chest and I said, all right, fuck it. If it's my time, then fuck it, let's go. And I submitted to it, whatever it was. I don't know what happened. I know I woke up the next day like 1 o'clock in the evening. And I was feeling myself like, what the fuck was that? And I was not myself. I just felt like I was something missing. I was not myself anymore. I was it. You know, that had to be researched. Now things changed. Because now it was like, these things was like ghouls and ghosts, woo, coming around, woo, walking around my house. And I'm like, nah, what the fuck? No, what's this? And inside of me still, I'm like counting my, like how you feel your fingers is chopped off. So I'm checking myself, running my memory. What the fuck is different about me? Something different. You understand? I can't figure it out. Everything seems to check out okay, but it's something different now. These spirits is still coming on to me and driving me crazy. I'm very thin, very sick, haven't slept in over a month. I find a way to say, let me go get an exorcism. I go get an exorcism, and the priest now is so scared or whatever. I could see that if this man tried to touch me, he's shaking so much. It looked like the spirits on me was going to attack his ass and tear his ass up. Because once I told him the story and showed him some pictures, he was like, I'm not the real head priest, and I'm the secondary priest. I could give you some holy water and say a prayer and some beads. And you know, what else they gonna tell you? Nothing. Nobody can help me. You know, so it was a black guy, caretaker dude who was there. He said, yo, I used to go with the real priest to do the exorcisms and the funeral. Come here. And he grabbed my arm, and when he did, I felt that something shaking me. You know what I'm saying? And when he did that, and he started saying that shit that they be saying, that shit just gave me goosebumps and chills. He like awoken something, but he didn't do really nothing. So the guy gave me the holy water and some rosary beads. Let me tell you, when I put on them rosary beads, all of a sudden, by the time I got to the taxi, they popped off my neck. I go to pick them all up now, and I stop in the taxi, got out the taxi, put it all back together. All right, put it back on my neck. Got in the taxi, and to get caught in the door and break again, blah. I'm like, nah, what the fuck is this? So I make it into a small bracelet now, and I tie it around my wrist. When I get home and I look in the holy water, that shit is full with larvae from flies and whatever. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But now, I'm like, you know what? I had enough of this shit. I don't know what got into my system or what was it, but something just made me take off my shirt, light a candle. I don't know where this candle came from. I had it for a long time, a big candle. And I put my hands in a triangle pyramid, and I just started blowing, exerting out, and started reading the Psalms and all this shit. And I felt the shit shaking in me, and I felt all this shit started coming out. When I looked in the candles, I just see images and faces and everything that, you know, you presently would see on me when I'm doing my meds on the videos. You see them coming out in the images. So I'm like, what the fuck? And I was feeling better. I felt like I needed some sleep. I wanted to eat. It was a load off my mind. Then something told me, go take a cold shower and run water on your crown, pineal, and on down your spine. And so I did. And let me tell you, that closed that chapter for a quick second. You know, I was very scared, and like I didn't even try to think too much. I just wanted to put that behind me. Like, whoa, you know. But what wound up happening, my own curiosity started getting the best of me. It's like something in me kept saying, how did you know it was evil? Did you finish it out? Did you know what was going on? Are you sure? You know, and I just started feeling guilty for judging something and didn't know. So I don't know what got into me, but it was like I knew how to get it back. So sure enough, I went to the mirror and I stared in my own eyes, and it was like inducing a state, like if I was turning into a vampire or a werewolf, and it just came back, all the anxiety, all the scariness. And with that, it was like I became an empath, because I tried to go to work and I just felt like when I walked in the room, I could feel what everybody's saying, like the energy. It just felt uncomfortable where everybody I walked past, I could literally, they don't have to tell me how they feel or say. It's like it's in the energy. And so it was very uncomfortable. I literally had to run out the room and isolate myself, because it was now like a big energy going on. When I tell you big energy, I mean, when I stared at my dripping water that was dripping, 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 when I looked at it, it'd be like drip, 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 drip. When I look away, it'd be like dripping, dripping, dripping. I look at it, it'd be like drip, 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 drip. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This is crazy. When I stared at a bottle cap inside a Tupperware bowl of water, the bottle cap will lift up and start floating around. I'm pulling it all around. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. When I look at a tree with a bunch of butterflies in it, when I look at the tree, they'll go into the trees and hide. When I look out, they'll start flying around. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So this is all going on now. And I didn't understand us now. So I started reading Egyptian books. And it started talking about the Tuat, the underworld. I started having to find books that relate to my experiences. So, you know, I started learning how to bind using the candle from reading the Egyptian magician. The coffin text, I still couldn't get a copy of it that had fucking words. It was all holographics. So I really couldn't get into it, but somebody told me to look into that. But I really couldn't decipher Egyptian information, because it's so elusive by white people that they're going to give you the wrong ingredients and you might have the wrong remedy. You understand? It might be the right one that they prescribe, but they just mix it up a little wrong. So I just try to look for authentic things that's not going to make me decipher too much. So now I got a little something for the Egyptian. I started learning how to bind, and I started helping people from me helping myself with that exorcism. I started doing exorcisms on other people who didn't know that they had some type of possession or whatever the case may be. And like I started being able to touch myself in certain areas wherever a person had an ailment at, and they was able to relieve themselves from their ailment. It didn't hurt no more, and eventually it would go away. You know, and I started realizing, wow, this is deep, this is crazy. So I started researching more and more, because I wanted to know, what is this?